What's the deal, y'all? It's your boy Big Papita 396. I would like to say thank you to the 57 people that voted for me. I'm going to the store. What would you guys like? To the 57 that voted for me, because that got me in. It got me in, man. And I'm thankful. I'm headed to this general meeting to get some takeaways. I can't stress enough how thankful I am for you guys that voted me in, because, you know, I'm really passionate about this stuff. This started off as me just trying to go over the contract and help people learn and understand what rights we have as workers under waste management. Now, what even got me into the contract was the fact that this was such a great contract. This was a great contract. This contract is the best contract that I've gotten in my 19 plus, you could say 20 years of driving trash trucks. Things such as a pension, we did not have. That was a UPS thing, right? And none of us really fought for pension. We were fighting for dollars. We was fighting for, hey man, I'm just trying to get an extra buck. I'm trying to get extra $2 or whatever. You know, we were just fighting for crumbs. But then all of these things started to happen to where we started to realize, well, damn, we're actually behind. And this contract caught us up. It caught us up. So that's what got me into the contract, was like, wow. And because of that, I'm thankful. I'm very thankful that you guys that watch my channel, that have seen one video of mine or any video of mine and decided, hey, look. Go. My God, man, I'm trying to get the hell out of here. I'm trying to make it to the meeting. This dude's just staring. All right, let me get back to driving. All right, y'all. So I'm coming fresh from the meeting. Let's go over a few things. So, there's a lot, man. The Teamsters are celebrating 80 years in existence. This is their 80-year anniversary. It's not really stressed enough because our time is now. That's the thing that's being pushed heavily. But it is a milestone moment that kind of shows how long the union has been protecting workers, and specifically the workers' rights. So the theme really was breast cancer awareness. There was a person who came up on stage that was a male. And this was a person who was a male that dealt with stage 3 breast cancer. And it was almost shocking because, wow, you know, this was a guy in a lineup of people you would never expect to. Yeah, but how does a cancer patient look, right? So what ended up happening was this guy went for a checkup. He needed a physical because he had just got hired on with the United States Postal Service. And he went, and he's like, man, can I get a same-day appointment for a physical at Kaiser? And they tell him no. So then he says, hey, you know what? I have a lump in my chest. And I want to get it checked out. So then they say, all right, come on in. And he gets checked out. And yes, they find out he has a lump, which was breast cancer. And if you didn't know, with male breast cancer, men have a 19% higher death rate than women. So early detection matters. Get screened. So the speaker was saying that, you know, of course there are many preventable ways to prevent breast cancer. One is, you know, getting a physical, getting screened, just simply going out there getting screened. But also, you know, cutting back on drinking, cutting back on smoking, and to pay attention to the warning signs. If you have certain spots that are popping up that you're not used to seeing, if there's certain lumps or things that feel odd or pains that you're dealing with that's just not normal, go get screened. But mainly smoking, drinking, and poor eating, right? These are things that lead up to the different cancers that form in the body. And so that was what the education was. So also keep in mind, 1 out of 8 women are affected. Breast cancer is very common. So they were giving out pamphlets and information for the International Teamsters Women Caucus. They were giving out information about how to go about this. So if you have a loved one, you have somebody that's close to you, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a sibling, whether it's somebody who's an in-law, right? Somebody that's an aunt, somebody that's a parent, somebody in your life that this could be affected by, even your daughter, some of you guys. You need to spread awareness about breast cancer because it affects everybody. There was another woman who came up to speak. She spoke about how she got cancer in the year 2003, and she fought it off. She beat it. She fast forwards to the year 2020. And in the year 2020, we're dealing with what we dealt with. YouTube restrictions aside, I can't speak about certain things or else I'll get flagged. But you guys know what happened around the year 2020. And this lady had lost her husband due to an illness. I won't say, she didn't say what specific illness that was, but she lost her husband to an illness. Same year, 5 weeks later, she gets a screening done and realizes that she has cancer in the same spot that her husband, in the same spot that she had in 2003. So, with that being said, she's like, oh no, I have to break this news to my son. Her son is 18 years old at the time. So she goes to her son and she tells her son the news, and he's, he's just out of it. He's just a mess because he's like, I just lost my dad, right? I lost my father. I can't lose you too. And it's tough. You can see the lady struggling. She's emotionally about to break down. And she has her mother behind her. And she's like, hey, whatever you do, because she had to end up having an episode during this bout right after she told her son, where she had these stomach problems, stomach issues. She's like, man, it just feels horrible. She tells her son, hey, look, don't call your nana, which is her mom. And the mother came and she's like, yeah, you need to call the emergency. And she's like, I don't want to call the emergency. So they called the emergency and she ended up getting emergency surgery. They had to remove several organs from her body, her appendix. They had to remove all of these things. She had to get a mastectomy. She had to go through so much. Then she had to go through another so many rounds of chemo. I think it was like 15 rounds of chemo. And by 2022, 2 years later, she finally, beats it and she gets to. But the emphasis of why I say all of this is because the woman paid little, very, very little, very little money out of pocket due to the union healthcare benefits, right? Her coverage was impeccable. All she had to pay for was, the copay, the little, you go in there, you pay the little $10 fee, and that's about it. But this woman had top-of-the-line healthcare. Do you know how impossible that is, right? So don't take healthcare for granted because, look, the company is paying for that, right? And those healthcare costs are rising. So keep that into mind. Keep that in your mind when you're thinking about negotiations, because the company is footing a heavy bill and they're fighting. They're fighting to specifically companies such as Republic Services, where they are fighting against these rising healthcare costs, where they're trying to put this on. They're trying to flip this bill onto the drivers and the workers, right? So keep that in mind. Like we have damn good healthcare. So let's move on. As far as Republic Services, Boston, the strike has officially ended. The Teamsters in Orange County and LA, they honored the picket lines. Unfortunately, like I mentioned in the last video, there were a lot of drivers who crossed that line. But, they eventually gave in. I believe it was over 100 days, 120 days. So, anywhere from 90 to 120 days, I forget exactly. But they fought hard and they eventually got it. So this is something that I need you guys to ask yourself when it comes to negotiating. Now that you have me in the committee, which I won't divulge any personal information about what's being negotiated out of respect for both parties. But just keep this in mind, that when negotiations start to begin, keep in mind that the union is actively fighting to kind of keep our healthcare the way it is, right? And companies, these big, huge companies, they are paying attention to, their costs, right? They're paying attention to every single accident that we have. They're paying attention to every single injury that we have, and they're saying, hey, man, you guys want this? Look at how many accidents you guys have had. Look how many injuries that you guys have had. Look at how much we pay for healthcare. They're going to say all of these things. I haven't stepped in the room yet, but I'm just saying, these are things that I could already guess, or if I had to take a wild guess, these are some of the things I think they would bring up, right? So that's why I joined the safety committee. I finally committed to the safety committee because I'm trying to figure out ways that we can improve safety, not only for drivers, but for these drivers who are going to come to the company in the future once the merge happens. All right, so Republic, for example, they're a tough company, right? They're not budging. They're willing to go as far as a strike. Most companies are like, look, maybe we, you're over there, we're over here. Let's kind of come to the middle type of thing. But they don't really want to go to a strike. When a company is willing to strike or go to a strike, that just shows you how stubborn some of these companies are when it comes to the hard line, right? And I won't go on a rant on that, but some companies don't negotiate fair. And Teamsters organization, they go out to make sure that we get these rights and we have these things available. As I just mentioned, healthcare costs are rising. It's a main obstacle in upcoming contracts because companies they're like, look, dude, we're paying way too much, and you guys want more, right? And it's like we don't want to contribute anymore. If we contribute anymore, if we give you guys much more than what we're already giving you, we're gonna have inmates running the asylum. So they're trying to say, look, we're already paying for accidents. Everything it's costing us too much. We have to get a profit somewhere, right? So keep that in mind. And, this is very serious. We're living in times right now that are extremely hard. So to be able to have healthcare is very important. You want to make sure that you keep these rights, right? That you keep the healthcare, and if anything, try to improve on it, right? So keep that in mind. With that being said, there is an emphasis on saving your money. So as I've said in my previous video, and you'll continuously hear me say this, try to save your money. Whatever money you can save it, right? I have a vehicle right now that I'm not even using. I'm about to sell that vehicle just so I can have some money in my coffers, right? I'm about to sell that vehicle because I need some money inside the bank just in case. You know what I mean? Times are hard. I need some kind of things that I'm not using. I'm about to either start selling. I'm about to start doing whatever I got to do to make sure I have enough money, because I can't cross that line. I just can't do it. You know what I mean? The integrity within me, as bad as things could possibly get, I can't cross it, right? So in order to not be that person, figure out things that you can do to kind of put money to the side. What things do you need to eliminate? What things do you need to cut? Hey, look, man, maybe I don't need whatever this subscription is. Maybe I don't need this and this and that. Let me see whatever it is that I could cut. So that way I can have the lifestyle that I want to have, right? So now we move on. Something that you guys probably didn't know, that these are the reasons why I go to these meetings. The City of LA franchise, the City of LA, they had they had this thing where they have 11 contracts or 11 zones, right? And these zones are usually taken up by big companies, okay? And usually the bigger companies are the companies that take them. That's not just union companies, but companies such as like Athens, right? And these are the companies that are big and they can afford to take on these zones. All right, well, these 11 commercial multi-unit waste zones, they could be up for new contracts. So what Sam Cornejo does, that's our political guy for the Teamsters 396. What he does is he politics. He's a politics guy, right? He wants to make sure that we get those contracts, so that way a lot of Teamsters jobs are still here. So when the rebid is up, when it expires, they had like some kind of mandate that said that, look, with the multi-unit ones, we kind of want to pick and choose, or it was some kind of language in there, right? It was like some poison pill language in there that said that they didn't have to honor something about like giving out work to specific contract companies. So what Sam Cornejo did was he was pushing to ensure that the Teamsters got those jobs. Mainly, it was going to affect a lot of people who had the City of LA contract that work within, those areas, for example, that are scouts. If you're a scout, next time you see Sam Cornejo, you need to shake his hand and say thank you, brother, for saving a potential job, just in case we get that bid. If we're able to renew and keep the contract, you need to thank Sam Cornejo if you're working in those areas, right? The LA area where these 11 zones are affected. So it affects not only the Valley, but the city of Gardena. I mean, with a yard for Gardena, with Republic. Even our yard. So they removed those mandates that were blocking the Teamsters from getting those bids. So it was a risk to 300 jobs. So in those 300 jobs, I mean, come on, that's 300 people at risk of either losing their job or being reassigned or whatever. And Sam Cornejo is out there fighting on behalf of those 300 drivers or those 300 jobs to make sure we keep those workers where they are, right? So his only thing was, he was talking about Proposition 50. Proposition 50 is a pro-worker measure to protect Teamster jobs and contract opportunities. So what you have to do is you have to go out and vote yes. Vote yes on Proposition 50. So for the bad news, there was Senate Bill 316 and AB 7 vetoed, right? And these would have stopped companies from using AI to fire workers, but Governor Gavin Newsom, he vetoed those by siding with the tech companies. So he vetoed those bills. So anytime, let's just say you're in a truck, and we deal with it all the time, where there's these cameras in the truck and they're watching you and they're monitoring you, everything that you do. this bill would have prevented you from being terminated or fired based on AI technology. But Governor Gavin Newsom shot it down, right? And keep in mind that he reportedly called Teamsters very nasty people behind closed doors, right? So that's, he's in the bed with these tech companies. So, AB 33, which is about autonomous cars, what they decided was they was going to shelve their push for this bill until the new governor would regulate these driverless delivery cars that threaten these UPS jobs, because there are companies right now that are being they're about to push these vehicles out here that are going to do package delivery. So what the union is doing is they're kind of sitting and they're waiting to see who's going to be the next governor of California, because the next governor of California, if this is the same person that they've spoken with behind the scenes, if that person gets elected, they will make good on their promise that they will put forth this AB 33 bill. So the good news, all right? So that's the bad news. Let's go on to the good news. The good news is that AB 288 passed, which gives workers, especially Amazon Teamsters, more power to organize and protest unfair labor practices. Okay? So what this essentially means is that, before you would have to go we're talking about the right to organize. What you would have to do is kind of go to the NLRB, which has effectively kind of been weakened or dismantled to a point to where it's ineffective. So what this bill does that Gavin Newsom passed was that this bill means that if a company doesn't act within enough time, or if the situation doesn't move in a quick enough time to where things are being stalled and the workers need some help with the state can come in place and pretty much act as the NLRB if the NLRB isn't acting fast enough. So what the companies are saying is, look, we're pushing back against that. Like, hell no. This is like against our constitutional rights. So they're suing, right? They're suing to delay these worker protections. A lot of these big giant companies, the Amazons, the Teslas, SpaceX, etc. These people that have these huge amounts of money, they're trying to crack down on that, right? Speaking of crack down, these companies, both UPS, both the waste industry, they're cracking down on proven dishonesty, right? So they're stepping up enforcement on time theft, on meal breaks, on falsified logs. What does this mean? This means be honest about the time that you're taking, right? So if you're taking a 15-minute break, take a 15-minute break, right? Take a 15-minute break. It's not so much you taking a 15-minute break or where you take it. It's more so about making sure you take that 15-minute break and that's it. Don't take a 20-minute break. Don't take a 25-minute break when you got a 15. You get what I mean? Just take the 15-minute break where it's not less than 10, not more than 15, right? If you're taking a meal break, you're taking a meal break for 30 minutes, right? You're not going to 45 minutes to an hour, because these are things that the union cannot defend against. So this is a way that the company is effectively trimming the fat, right? They're cutting off these people that are kind of like easy to terminate, because these are just things that are like, okay, yeah, this is a cardinal infraction that's easy. This guy takes too many 20-minute break, quote unquote 15-minute breaks. This guy takes too many. He stops over here for like an hour. He goes over here. He goes over there. So that's what these companies are stepping up, and this is what they're doing. So, like I said, this is something that the union is saying is happening not only in the waste industry, but also in the package industry as well. They're just targeting drivers for these cardinal offenses, specifically proven dishonesty, things like not reporting accidents, no matter how minor, no matter how small these things are, and you're on camera. Keep in mind that you're usually on camera. Generally, you're on camera when these things happen. So when the customer puts forth a complaint, usually the company can dig up some form of footage, or the customer has some form of footage that will show what you said versus what the company. And then once they got you, they got you. So report accidents, and this is something that Alex was speaking about. Like if you guys are reporting your accidents, depending on the accident, let's just say if you moved a bin, and your bin scraped up against a wall, your bin caused damage up against some stucco or something like that, and you didn't report it, but the customer reported it, and you're like, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. Well, if had you would have reported it, there's a certain, based on the contract that we have, there's a certain line of incidents that falls under, where it's not all just jumbled into I had a vehicular accident where I backed into, let's just say, a stop sign or a bollard pole, right? Or I took down a wire. This is entirely different because this is me. This falls under an incident. But drivers aren't reporting this, and what happens is the company says, hey, he didn't report it. And this was only like one one incident, or the first incident out of the year, right? Where you had this situation and you didn't report it. And it would have been very minor. It would have never risen to the point where you would have lost your job. But he's saying there's a lot of incidents like that happening. So with that being said, be very cognizant how you work, right? This is why we have to be careful about rushing. You know, it's not so cool to be fast. Sometimes it's better to be smooth. You know, you don't want to be the fastest guy. You want to be the guy that's able to get in and get out, finish his or her job without getting into any kind of incidents or accidents. So keep that in mind. You know, if you have to report an accident, right? Because we have different categories, and they're there for a reason, right? So it's always better to report an accident than take that risk. I'm sorry, it was such a long meeting today. So, you know, my following message to you guys would be document everything, right? Protect yourself. Stay truthful, you know, be honest, don't be dishonest, and be compliant. You know, be a professional when you show up to work, right? Be a professional when you show up to work. What does that mean? Take your job as serious as you possibly can. You know, if you come to work, show up to work, you know, with your headlamp, with your PPE, show up on time if possible. I struggle with that. I struggle with showing up on time. But these are things that the union is trying to push because the company is going after these little things, right? So you want to show up on time. You want to show up with your PPE. You want to show up with the proper boots. You want to show up ready to work, fit for duty, right? You don't want to be in a situation where you're putting your job at risk. So, yeah, man, that pretty much wraps up. That pretty much wraps up the meeting. I sped it up because you guys would not want to sit. You guys do not have the patience to sit through a 35-minute video. But the committee elections are wrapping up. They should be completed by the end of. They should be completed by the end of next month, which would be November, and then from November we'll go from there. Remember, the healthcare is important. That's why I started off the video giving you those stories about those situations, because those situations can happen to me, they can happen to you, they can happen to a family member, and we have to be cognizant and aware that these healthcare costs are a key battlefront when you're negotiating with these companies, because they're looking at what they pay per month, right? And you know, we have to support these other locals. Like there was the positive news where I told you Governor Gavin Newsom, who's running for president, obviously he's running for president, right? When his time is up as governor and they put a new guy in there, one of the positive things that you can say about Gavin Newsom is he passed this bill, right? And these companies are fighting against it because they feel like, hey, you're cheating us and you're giving these workers too many rights, and they're fighting against it. But one thing it does do, it gives guys like the Amazon Teamsters the ability to organize, and simply having that ability is a huge win, because if you don't have that ability, you don't have the ability to come up with a contractual bargaining agreement, which means you as a worker, you don't have any say-so. The company decides and determines what you get paid. They determine everything, right? So I say all of that to say, support other Teamsters. If you see a guy that's out there that's obviously an Amazon worker, you know, they're in their Amazon truck, they're delivering packages, just politely mention to them, hey, hey, what's up, Teamster? Show them support in their fight. Show Republic, these drivers that work for Republic. They're Teamsters also. Show them love. Show Wear Disposal. Show all of these different people. UPS members, love and respect, because UPS, they're kind of going through some things right now, right? And we all need each other's support, and that's how we become strong, right? We have to organize. So I'm sorry I'm so long-winded, but once again, I would like to thank you guys for voting me in. I appreciate it. Everybody seems ecstatic. There was quite a few people at the union general meeting that showed me a lot of love and showed me respect. They knew about it, so I'm excited. But this goes without saying, this channel will not be anything where I'm broadcasting anything that's happening in the negotiating. That is confidential. I will not be speaking on anything regarding negotiations. I will be professional and conduct myself as such. This would not be a messy channel where I'm spilling the beans on what the company wants versus what they don't want, or saying what drivers want, leaking that out to management. So anything you guys say to me will be in confidence and private. So with that being said, it's your boy Big Papita, and I'm out. Peace.